Hello, friends. This is John Klein III with episode 219 of Shadow and Flame of Magic, your premier Kitty Pryde Lockheed and Magic podcast. Today, we're going to be reviewing Deadpool Secret War, Deadpool Secret Wars 1, as well as spoiling Moonstar 1, Wolverine Volume 817, X-Men Volume 726, Iceman Omega, X-Men Annual 2026 quickly, and then Avengers 7936 even quicker. Um, Deadpool Secret Wars. We are reviewing this one as opposed to whatever was our next issue 44. Which I think might be our last 44th issue until the end of the year. But on February 28, 2025, Jacopo Camagni died. He's the current artist for X-Men Generation X 23. Uh, Um, I love that first issue. He finished the first three, and Marco Arena will be picking up issue 4, according to the Comic Book Club. I own that issue. Um, this issue, I mean. The backup he did in Deadpool Secret Wars 1, and he was the inker or co-penciler for all new Dupe 3. But I'd rather wait until I dedicate a month to that series, which I might do relatively soon, as it's my favorite part of Battle of the Atom, and I just reread issue 3 in remembrance of Jacopo Camagni. Um, so yeah, so let's get into the book. I don't know if as I was pulling this out or not, but if you're on YouTube, I discovered this back panel was ripped, so I taped it up. So this comic is not unrated. It is rated, oh, it has a parental advisory, but it's now ungradable. And it was part of the Jonathan Hickman Secret Wars 2015, but in true Deadpool fashion, this takes place during the original Secret Wars. It came out in July 2015, which makes sense as that's when Secret Wars happened. This is written by Colin Bunn, artist Matteo Lowy, colorist Ruth Redmond, letters VC's Joe Sabino. Gorgeous cover by Tony Harris. And assistant editor Heather Antos, editor Jordan D. White, editor in chief Axel Alonso, chief creative officer Joe Quesada, publisher Dan Buckley, and executive producer Alan Fine. And I like how it has the write up for the 2015 Secret Wars, but then it's all scratched out and says, wrong Secret Wars. Uh, which, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see all of the pointing I'm doing to this. And if you're just listening, thank you, dear listener. The surface of Battle World. Uh, Now, circa 1984 now, and we see Captain America's shields destroyed, and Deadpool is burning up. And he narrate or not narrate, he talks aloud, important safety tip. Do not pee in the Cheerios of godlike entities. And it's like, okay, we know what we're doing. And then we get days earlier, before the creation of Battle World, and we get an amazing cast of our heroes. And we get and then on my YouTube and TikTok accounts, Jacko SII, you'll be able to follow along as I do a quick um read along, and I guess I need a word for what I call the Saturday videos of the video. Then on Sunday I'm going to post the just the screen grabs of all these. But we get Xavier introducing the X-Men. I am Professor X. These are my X-Men: Storm, Nightcrawler, Rogue, Cyclops, Wolverine, and Colossus. And then Colossus, much to his credit, says, and Lucky the Dragon. And he points right up to Lucky, and Lucky like looks like he's smiling at Colossus, which I love. Because he's like, I am part of the team. And then everyone else introduces um Magneto introduces himself, Deadpool appears. And so it's a fun, like, what if Deadpool was there the whole time? And yeah, so everyone's just like chit-chatting, figuring out what's going on. And then the battle world. Oh yeah, because they're on this ship and they're heading to the battle world that the Beyonder is creating. And once they're established that it's heroes versus villains, Deadpool just says, "Let's go kill some fools." And then they all get beamed down to the battle world. We get another great team shot that Lockheed's a part of. Being teleported to the planet's surface. Be ready for anything, Captain America explains. The forces of evil, those who were on board the other construct, may not be as reluctant to fight as we are. And Deadpool is very much ready to fight. Wasp isn't sure about Magneto being part of the hero side, but they need as many people as they can. And then we get to the now, where it's post the first battle. The first battle, and we see, oh yeah, and then we see Deb or Lockheed is fighting a Sorbing Man because he just sees someone attack and just goes for it. Moku Man looks like he's not thrilled about Lockheed taking on the two of them. And then the Sorbet Man decides, I don't know why, but oh yeah, Crusher Creel. I was worried, if you listen to the video that I had misnamed him, but like, no, that is his real name, Crusher Creel. I feel like I should get points for just knowing the Sorbet Man just instinctively. And then he decides to absorb Deadpool's powers, which I don't know if that's how his powers work. He never goes around absorbing Captain America's super swords or serum. But unfortunately, what he absorbs is Deadpool's cancer skill powers, so that's not great. And then Deadpool takes on Kang, and like the original Secret Wars, no Lockheed very much in this, so that's unfortunate. And then now Deadpool's just walking around trying to gather his strength, and we get a cool cliffhanger that Deadpool's original looks have been restored, which will be what happens to Ben Grimm post Battle World, and it says to be continued. Then we get to the reason why we're reviewing it. What if Deadpool was at the original Battle World? No, not Battle World. At the original Contest of Champions. That is a three-issue series that ran back in the day. And Kitty Pryde famously shows up in the first issue for a panel, and then is in a giant group shot, but you can tell that she's there in the third issue. And it has like a fun little write-up that's also scratched out. Even earlier, the Grandmaster, the Unknown, gathered our heroes for a contest of champions. Here's a never before seen final battle, and it's called the bonus round. Written by Colin Bunn, artist Jacopo Camagni, rest in peace, legend. Colorist Veronica Gandini. Letter VC's Joe Sabino, assistant editor Heather Antos, editor Jordan D. White, editor in chief Axel Alonso, chief creative officer Joe Quesada, publisher Dan Buckley, executive producer Alan Fine. The Beyonder was not the first otherworldly being to play games of the lives of Earth's heroes. Before the Secret War was waged, two beings of incalculable power constructed a cosmic arena in the depths of space. And we get some cool hero shots here of Logan, Iron Man. Oh yeah, Shamrock. I thought it was Jean Grey earlier, but she's clearly wearing the Shamrock costume. Nightcrawler, Daredevil in the back. Captain America, Hulk, Scarlet Witch, Deadpool, Colossus, Sasquatch, Storm's flying in, Spider-Man's web swing, and the Vision's bodies up top. And into the structure, every living hero is summoned. They are to act as the pawns of their abductors. And I called him the collector in my video, but he's clearly the Grandmaster. So points for knowing Crimson, Absorbing Man, but no points for mistaking the Grandmaster. They are to act as the pawns of their abductors while Earth is held in a state of suspended animation as the contest of champions unfolds. The Unknown and the Grandmaster have selected 24 of the world's mightiest heroes to challenge each other for the four pieces of the globe. And then while the Deadpool interjects as he wants to do one more round, because famously Contest of Champions ends in a tie, but as awkwardly the game actually says like, oh no, they won. But if you actually do the math, it was a tie. And so they have a mini fallout in a Avengers annual or something. But here they show that um that there was an actual round. And we actually get a great panel of Kitty Pryde being present, though she should have her skull cap costume here, as she did in Contest of Champions 1. But that's okay. And then I was like, oh man, Jacopo, Camagni, drew Kitty Pryde. How great. But Anu Dupe 3, he draws the heck out of her. So, and Rachel Summers. So that's great. And so Deadpool's just like, that's it. Those guys, they don't think of me as one of the in crowd. Superheroes are a lot more cliquish than you might think. Being picked to compete in something like this, it would really elevate my stock, and I'm not the one who feels this way. And so teams are created. Deadpool is on the unknown character side and we get great double page splash here, or at least double page. And so it's Howard the Duck, Deadpool, Dupe, a character I don't recognize who was named on the earlier page. Rosie, oh, the Pink Spinks. And then for the Grandmaster is Rocket Racer, Frogman, She-Man Thing, and the Vile Tapeworm. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Yeah. And then they're all going to fight. I like this panel here of Howard the Duck and Dupe having one of those classic face-offs, even though they're on the same team. But I don't know, I like it when a character's face is split and you can see both halves of two different characters. And Howard Duck's going to use Quack Fu, which if you played Avengers Alliance, that was one of his moves, so that's fun. Um, Rocket Racer's doing a little bow in. So, it's just like fight, fight, fight. And turns out Deadpool side wins and gets a little smooch from the unknown, who's actually Lady Death. Or not Lady Death, but Death, who's a lady. Who's personified as a lady? Yeah. And then I do have the second issue for this, but we'll review that some other time. And I think I did a lousy job on my tape job, but that's okay. Next time I'm at a comic shop, I think I am going to invest not only into another comic book box, but I'm going to need some bags and boards as I got some comics that need to be bagged and board. And I think it's been too long. And I'm pretty sure I will go through 100 very easily. And that, everyone, was Deadpool Secret Wars #1. All right, so here we go. We're gonna spoil this week's comic, starting with Moonstar 1. I love this issue so much. I treated myself to the Benjamin Sue variant cover of Danny and a giant wolf I don't recognize, reading Stephanie Phillips' first issue of her Daredevil 1. Issue opens with a history of Dane Dane's self Dane Lyaef sword, created by the dwarves of Nidarvillier. Its curse is it demands a kill before it can be sieved. We get a nice recap of Magic's ongoing series that Danny was a co-star of. We get quite a bit of Magic in this issue, which I was hoping for, but I was sold on this series regardless. Present day, we see Danny riding Brightwind, not Swiftwind. That's She-Ra's horse. I just love it. We get a mutant powered and Valkyrie powered Danny Moonstar. She's not powered this year. We have to see if she gets 5 whole issues without becoming powerless. Because, like Storm, that's one of Danny's character beats that must happen to her. We get a recap of her New Mutant days. We see her parents, who I would have sworn were dead. Their spirits were trapped in the Demon Bear, and I thought they were released as I'd never seen her talk to her parents or hear from her parents or even discuss them. I was expecting a final page reveal where they were figments of her imagination, but nope, they're alive and very well. Turns out this is their mother's first appearance since 1986, which the internet was quick to tell me was 40 years ago. Like, sure, I guess 1980 or 1986 was 40 years ago. Like, all right. Um, I like Danny referred to Ileana as her best friend. It definitely feels like her and Rain haven't been as close since forever, maybe. With Immortal Thor's 25th issue, no one remembers Asgard, which seems odd as isn't Thor flying around these days or part of Avengers history? I'm sure Immortal Thor is handling all these questions. I'm curious, but not curious enough to look into it. I'm sure time will be restored. Yadisha and Kian from the society Danny was working with and who Danny and Magic brought down arrive. They need Danny's help with retrieving Dane the Ife. It's DAINSLEIF. So Dane's life. It was teased that we were going to get romantic interest for Danny in this series, so I was immediately thinking it might be Yanisha. Yanisha acts as if Danny still has access to her teleporter mutant. She's so much more than that. Instead of enlisting her, Brightwind seats 3. We get another flashback to Magic and Danny fighting the society. We meet the threat of the series, Chiron, who has a mystical artifact that he's trying to bring the city's dead to him to power up the Dane Daneslayefs. Yanisa and Cayenne rush into battle of Chiron, leaving Danny with only a poor decision to get into the fight sooner than she would have liked to. Yanisha sacrifices herself so that Danny and Cayenne can get away, which leaves Cayenne as the guy who will be having feelings for Danny. But that doesn't mean Danny is going to return those feelings. Chiron needs a new artifact, and Danny has an idea what he will need, so they will have a next step to follow. Um, so yeah, great, perfect first issue. Burr, 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 burr. Wolverine Volume 817, a rare aftermath issue. I like seeing old Morlock Ape hang out with new Morlock Deepfake. We learn more of Deepfake's history. Logan ambushes him. Silver Sable swimming in a river to continue exercising. We meet Tushar, a very young mutant, maybe 12 years old. I like how his mutant powers to restore buildings from what we can see. I like how his power comes from what he needs right now. Their last base was destroyed, and they come across an abandoned cabins that are far from being able to be repaired easily. But here's this young mutant who can repair cabins very easily, so that's nice. Silver Sable and Logan are definitely hooking up. I imagine they have not talked about Nightcrawler at all. Sometimes it feels like I'm the only one who kept Uncanny Spider-Man in their heart. Tushar was taken by a mutant code bug who is hybrid levels of gross. He looks like a regular dude until he takes a knife to his own face and now he has a bug face. How does that work? I'd rather not know. Logan kills him and Tushar is saved. Tactical Soldiers Corp in Croatia. Adamantine arrives looking for the best there is. Some jerk goon wonders if he's looking for the best mercenary and name drops Silver Sable. I don't love that. I love that she's so well respected, but don't answer that question without knowing why they're asking. So it looks like Silver Sable's sticking around through the Adamantine arc, so I guess I will be too. I imagine I won't love it as much as I love this arc, but there will be aspects I like, so that's all I really can ask for. Burr, 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 burr. X-Men Volume 7, Issue 26, Danger Room Part 1, Malaki. Issue opens with Grey Crow robbing a bank and getting shot up during his escape. Moro, Alaska. Scott is happy. It is springtime. Cannon is surprised that Scott grew up in Alaska and thinks he'll be comfortable with the snow. He corrects her that he was only here as a child. I suppose it's smart of him not to mention he lived there for a time with Madeline Pryor and baby Nathan. But that was like for a few months. Better not to mention it. Sheriff Robbins is missing as Deputy Smith informs them. Glob Herman is setting up a nice garden as he's producing too much for the X-Men to eat. He was going to give the food away, but Scott thought that would be suspicious, which she's probably right, as I would think something was wrong with the food or that it was expiring soon. It's like when the last bunch of bananas, bundle of bananas, and it's no bunch, right? Bananas come in bunches. And it's like, well, I don't want the last bunch. Like, I'm sure they're perfectly fine, but them being the last one makes you not want to eat those. That's just human nature, I suppose. But then sometimes you get a bag of cuties, and then that bag will have soiled ones, and it's like, well, spoiled ones, and it's like, well, shoot, I grabbed the ones that was up top. Um, I like the older couple who arrives. They haven't heard of the Shi'ar or Optic Blast, which I would think the Shi'ar was known, but I guess if all you're getting from the news is alien attack after alien attack, they probably all sound alike. Before they arrive, Glob is visited by Piper and her mother Rose. Piper's twin sister Robin is working with 3K now, but it's nice that they are keeping her in the loop. Well, now she's in the loop. Seems like someone should have sent an email or a telepathic message to Rose about her other daughter. Cyclops has his magic to track Sheriff Robin's blood to the source. Magic has located the nice sheriff in the Gulf of Alaska. Sala can't make the mission as she has to check on Grey Crow. Cyclops tells her to take Zorn with her as Grey Crow need a healer. That's nice of him. Gulf of Alaska, the spirit of St. Augustine. We get a very cool team splash page, which if you want to go to shadowandflamewithmagic.com, I should have some of my reviews starting Monday of all these comics. So, and the X-Men review will definitely have these images of magic. Things are a little too Ralph. I messed up my own dumb joke. Things are a little too Raph and a little too quiet. They locate Sheriff Robbins. She informs them it's a trap. I like how 70s Beast knows it's a trap, but they have a handy teleporter. Except, of course, Magic can't teleport them. So, Rutro, the X-Men have a battle to battle the ship. Glub Herman gets hate crime, which I immediately was worried about when Scott and Kanan was discussing Glub having a garden. And I thought the route they hinted at was the shop that was wrecked, but it was the police station. Though it should be the sheriff's office if they're dealing with sheriffs and deputies, but that's okay. Glob is shot and we don't have resurrection anymore. Maybe he was just shot in the shoulder. I have my doubts. Washington, D.C., the Office of National Emergency. We see Crimson Commando talking to a new character, Maxine Danger. At first, I thought she was Warden Ellis, but she's a different lady. Danger's working with her for the Bureau of Prisons, so one would think Danger and Ellis would eventually be working together, right? Danger's all about branding and wants her think tank to be called the Danger Room. I guess Danger's Room was too silly of a name. Pretty solid start to a new arc. Brr, 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 brr. Iceman Omega 1. This is a physical print of Luciano Viccio's Iceman Infinity comic. I really like how this is everything someone will want in an Iceman comic. I like how Bobby has to fight three generations of Hictothon. We're really into Bobby's mindset this issue and his reflections on his life, including a picture of his favorite teammates, including Kate Pride, I believe. This comic was set during the Krakoan age, so it's nice to get a comic from that era. He fights lava dudes, which is a fun visual contrast with his powers. Purifier does seem like set up to be his arch nemesis. Bobby saves a dude and gets a smooch as a reward. One of my favorite aspects of Krakoa was that anyone can appear in any comic without it feeling like approval had to be made first. We were They were all in the same island, so people could just show up whenever, and it wasn't supposed to be a big deal. Bobby's having lunch with both Richter and North Star, which is pretty cool. Bobby reflects on his, and this gets a little complicated, his inhuman boyfriend Romeo that his time displaced younger self dated. Then his amazing friend Firestar shows up. This is before she joined the X-Men in Volume 6. So she's just here to use the gate. She's not ready to abandon her non-mutant father, as flat scans weren't allowed to live on Krakoa. Which still seems messed up. Northstar's husband Kyle got a marriage exception. So Spider-Man, no Spider-Man appearance, but I'm always happy to just get Firestar. They rescue some folks, though some debris knocks Iceman out. Iceman wakes up to find an aged up Romeo. He's been aged up due to inhuman nonsense, but now they're the same age, so that's nice. They immediately start hooking up. While out and about, they come across Julian from the 2021 Reptile series, thanks to a very helpful editorial box. Her favorite mutants, Richter, sure. A giant beast shows up. Iceman attacks him, but Romeo has empathic powers, but uses them for good, unlike gross empath. And turns out the giant creature woke up early from its hibernation and was panicked. Iceman creates a nice ice cocoon for the big fella, and all is good again. I like the idea the World Council would seek out Iceman to help with Earth's climate problems after he terraformed Mars. Earth is very much populated, so he can't just turn deserts into gardens. So it answers why he doesn't do that for those who asked about it. Iceman's father is dying and tries to get to him as fast as possible. On his way through a gate, we see Magic and the New Mutants, including Karma, who I love to see. Dr. Mr. Drake is so racist he refused to take the mutant medication, which is a good thing as he would have ended up being a pawn of Sinister's and dies. Mr. Drake is the worst, so at least we're done with him now. In his grief, Bobby hooks up with Christian Frost. We get a fun Cape Pride reference as Bobby doesn't want any adventures at this time and any calls from Kate or Romeo can wait. Iceman has a fun adventure with Teen Loki, who is a prisoner of the third Ixalan, who is a cool, edgy teenager. Loki has to deal with his frost giant of a father, Joe Tunheim. But since this is an Iceman comic, Ixalan turns Joe Unheim into Bobby's father, so he gets to take his anger out on something he can hit. Iceman goes on some other adventures, takes on Nuclear Man, then Abomination. He's doing hero stuff. He even assists the Avengers, Captains Marvel and America, Iron Man and Black Panther. We get an awesome image of Silver Surfer and Iceman together. Iceman uses too much of his Omega power and needs his friends Northstar and Firestar to help calm him down. That's fun that we get both North and Firestars. The stars, North and Fire. I like that it's Christian Frost, honestly, Christian Frost and Romeo that get through to him. A nice meeting circuit there. Issue ends with Iceman just being great. Then we get reprints of Vicio's Pride pages and short stories. The short stories, a history of LGBTQ superheroes told through Prodigy. Guess it is odd this Iceman Omega comic did not come out in June, but also this comic should come out whenever. It just would have been a bonus in June, or I guess a bonus from Marvel's point of view, from a certain point of view. Final page is a house ad promoting X-Men United, stating Iceman will appear. So Ewing might also just be a huge Iceman fan. It is the Stefano Caselli image surrounded by ice, so Loki barely seen on the very right edge. Such a great comic. Here's hoping many people buy it so that we can get Lovable Lockheed and Strange Tales printed one day. I imagine Strange Tales gets printed no matter what because it's a Scarlet Witch um Infinity comic. But it'd be nice to Lovable Lockheed eventually because it was 6 issues, so I mean it would need to be a extra size 55-page comic. Brr, 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 brr. Okay, quick reviews, everybody. X-Men Annual 2026. Jean Grey returns to hang out with Uncanny X-Men, so why this isn't X-Men Annual 26 and not Uncanny X-Men Phoenix visits. I guess Uncanny's getting its own titled annual, but this isn't Cyclops' X-Men. Seems like it really should have been called Uncanny X title and font. Jean arrives and the uncanny X-Men are attacked by a giant monster. Turns out the creationist, a guy who can create anything but doesn't have any creative abilities. Imagine a Green Lantern, but who can't think of anything. Jean gives him a boost of confidence and creates a giant cape Spider-Man, and that defeats the monster. Jean motors off to wherever she's calling home. Not a bad issue. I just don't get why it's an annual and not just X-Men annual. It could have been called Uncanny X-Men now with 100% more Jean Grey or Uncanny X-Men guest starring Jean Grey. Or I don't know, Uncanny X-Men Jean Grey Revisited, Phoenix Revisited. I don't know. Seems odd that it's called X-Men Annual when it could have been called anything else. Avengers Volume 936, pretty solid ending to this run. No X-Men appearances besides Storm. Captain Marvel and the Avengers defeat and imprison Kang. I really appreciate how the issue ends with this Avengers team shutting down and ending with a vote for who the next Avengers will be. I do not believe we have an Avengers 1 solicited yet, and we're through May already. Next week's comics be X-Men United 1, so that's going to be awesome. Magic Colossus 2, which we got some preview pages of, and it looks like it's starting off great. Storm Earth's Mightiest Mutant 2, Logan Black, White, and Blood 3. Spider-Man Meals to Astonish 1. I'm getting the Peach Mumbleco Magic and Penny Parker cover, variant cover. The End 2994, Hulk Smashes Everything 4, that promises to have some superhero characters at least, on the cover at least. Planet of the Apes versus Fantastic Four 2, and Imperial Guardians 1 for all you Darkhawk fans. And the top 10 comics, X Comics 2026 thus far. Number 1, Magic Colossus 1. Its competition is showing up next week, though. Moonstar at number 2. Avengers Volume 934, with Kitty Pryde. Sorcerer Supreme 3. I'm going to just edit here at number 4. Generation X 23-1. Just once again, we're going to miss the talent that is Jacopo Camagni. Apologize, I don't want to mispronounce the name, so I keep having to look at my writing of the name. X-Men's Volume 726, Uncanny X-Men Volume 624, and at number 10, Iceman Omega, which came out this year. I'm holding it in my hand, so yeah. I think it counts as 2026 comic as it is collected. And that, everyone, is episode 219 of Shadow and Flame with Magic. You can follow me on most socials, TikTok, YouTube, Blue Sky is where you can find me most. You can find the podcast socials at SNFWM, the N spelled out. On Instagram, I'm trying to promote, right. If I post something on that's not Lockheed related, I try to put it on the podcast's Instagram. So I don't know, hopefully start building an audience there. But you can definitely follow my Deadpool on its Instagram and on its Blue Sky account. And you can follow along on my reviews on the website, Shadow and Flame with Magic. So thank you everyone who listened and everyone on YouTube for watching. And I will talk at you next time. All right, everyone. Until then, bye. I gotta work on my outros.